Welcome to another episode of St Vincent Untold Stories. On this episode, we are going to reveal some chilling untold stories about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we are going to reveal some communities that went from bad to good. And we are going to talk about some men who passed out. Big ups to all of my subscribers. And if you are new to the channel, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and hit the bell icon. Hold on to your seats. We are going to show something that has never been seen before. Do you remember first time when a lot of men were going to Dovecat? Do you remember the places where they say the men were from? Places like Paul's Avenue, Atley Hall, Vermont, South Rivers, and Greg's and those places. Popo were mostly used in the Kingston and surrounding area. And I'm speaking the truth. You can check the statistics for yourself. Countryman and Leeward, man. I'm machete thing them the dip on. In the South Rivers area, they had a saying that said, one way in, one way out. But there was a back road. But if you was from town and you go into that area when a dance was keeping and you disrespected anyone, then you only knew the way that you came in. But you see, the thing is, up in South Rivers is in the big man's constituency, and a lot of development went on there over the years. You see, first time, a lot of the youths was not employed, but since the big man came in, most men from South Rivers are fully employed now. I'm sure that if you go to every station in St. Vincent, there is an officer there from the South Rivers or Parkhill areas. You don't hear about much crime in South Rivers anymore. Just recently they had a thing where a young man passed away. But look at the length of time something took to happen. First time, you can't even go to Board's disco or Africano disco and dance on anybody's woman. 20 to 30 men would be outside waiting on you. Blah, 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 pong, left, right, and center. You had to run left your sneakers. In that area, the women are employed and the young men are employed. Who aren't sailing are in the police force. Who aren't in the police force are working with the big man and so forth. Remember, there's an old saying that a trouble catch up upon idle hands. It have a lot of men who tell you, I mean, I go back to jail, this is my last time. But they have their family, they have their children to send to school, and by the time the pressure reaches them, they have to go back in the badness once again, back to jail again. So you see what I'm saying? Once there are jobs in those communities, there would be less crimes. You notice they are saying that they are going to relocate some people in the bottom tongue area. And you notice you aren't hearing anything about any increase of crimes. It has decreased. You see, because those communities wasn't well looked after. So the youths now would turn to selling a substance, popo and so forth. Just take a look on the records about 2005 to 2009 and you would see those areas were deemed as hot spots. Paul's Avenue was also a hotspot area. Every minute, popo bossing up and down. Some men could not even walk through the Paul's Avenue area. They told you that if you passed with a certain t-shirts, that things would happen. Look at Paul's Avenue today. Anybody can walk through Paul's Avenue right now. It is more developed. A lot of businesses are going in the Paul's Avenue area. Even radio stations and other places filled with cameras. Because Paul's Avenue is developed and now, we are seeing a decrease in crime in that area. When you look now, you see that the hot spot is in Glen. Why is that? Because there is no development going on, no jobs for the youths. So what you expect? No parks for the youths to play, no court for them to bounce ball, no activities for them to do. So what do you think they would turn to? When you look at most of the men going to Dovecat, it is always under 40. Growing up, we had some friends that turned to a life of badness. And you know why is that? Because some of them lost their mothers and their fathers. And when friends and family should have stepped up to help, they turned their backs on the youths. I had a friend, he lost his mother at a very young age, and every door he knocked on, he was turned away. And there were persons who gave him words of encouragement. And the youths used to take the words of encouragement, but living in a poverty, hungry kicked in, and many times he said, "You know what? My stove is there. I have no oil to fry any plantains. I have no chicken to cook. How could I eat?" And then he started off with a petty theft. There was a lot of persons in the community who could have helped and refused to help. They had so many barrels from overseas. Things were spoiling. They had to throw them away. Not even dogs could have eaten them because of the time that they were spoiled for. We have seen so many instances in which young mothers were caught in stores stealing in Kingston, and they put them on the cameras for everyone to see. And those young ladies were ridiculed, and it had persons could have said, "You know what? I understand the things that you are going through. Let me talk to the store owner and pay for the items for you." Then they go to the prisons. And when they come out, they can't get a job because persons remember that he was in the newspaper. She was in the newspaper. We can't hire him because he's a thief. But you could have helped and you never helped. There was an incident that took place 2 weeks ago in which a young man that just came out of prisons broke into a man's house looking for money. And the man wanted to press charges against him and take him to court. I spoke to the man and told the man, "Look, when you go to the station, tell the officers that they must put a restraining order against him so he won't come back. But don't allow him to go to prison. Let us see if he would change." The Almighty came. He sat around the thieves. He sat around the girls that walk in the club. He sat around the people who love the party and so forth. He did not turn his back on them. He spoke to them and tried to save their lives. Another problem that we have in our communities, some parents are filled with expectations. They might see that a family member turned a doctor, the neighbor always boasting about her sons and daughters going to university. And you might not understand, your youth might not be as intelligent as them. Your youth might want to be something else. You might want to be a simple mechanic. But because you are forcing things, you are turning the youth away. It had a mother in my community used to put her son on a grater to kneel down. And she thought that she was doing the right thing. But the boy did not have the head to learn in school. So she failed to understand that. What did you think the outcome was? He turned to a life of crime. Because when he recapped and he looked back on the things that the lady did to him, he just used it on other people. Sometimes the youth come to you. He might say, or she might say, "I want to be a simple police officer. I want to be a farmer." Nothing is wrong with that. You now have to train them in a way to make money from what they said they are going to do. Try to develop their skills. There is a documentary that they did in the Jamaican prison. And when the bad man them that jail for a long time. And the man cry water out of him eye. A man same father used to beat him with motor tire and a cable wire and them sitting there. And the man say, "No what? And them nice really take care of him and him come a bad man on the street." And the same thing when father used to do him start to do back people the same thing. And it landed him in prison. We got to know how to deal with ghetto youths. There are parents who fail to accept responsibilities as well. Always trying to blame others. They hear a Vibes Cartel song and they put the blame on Vibes Cartel. Vibes Cartel is just a simple musician. He's not the problem. There are youths going to the same grammar school, tapping their exams and are still coming out good and listening to the same vibes cartel. So is you as a parent need to change the youths. A lot of youths as well need to understand that you don't have to prove anything to any man. And not because your friends say push that badness, you have to go push it too. You know the consequences that would follow. In the Chinese movies, we don't see Jet Li and Jackie Chan jumping off of building, and the youths love those movies. And I'm sure they ain't jumping off of buildings. Mr. Big Man, just like how South Chivas is developed and the youths are getting job. If that happens in every community, then everything would be great and smooth. It would be less crimes on your hands, less work for the police to do. Just to show you how those areas are progressing. Imagine a credit union is now in that area. Because you see, the persons working at the credit union knows that a lot of persons are employed in that area and they are seeing the monies that are being deposited. We are tired of extreme poverty. We are tired of unemployment. We wanted the volcano relief monies to be distributed equally. That's all we are asking for. Accountability. Those who can help out. The youths are going through a lot of struggles. Too many of us are worried about what men say. Don't worry about that. Just do your good deeds and God would bless you. He sees and He knows all. With that being said, we just want to big up the entire population in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the regional islands and the international countries who are supporting and praying for us. During these difficult times, we thank you.